All right, let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted sex, your partner wanted sex, and yet nothing happened for weeks? Not because there's no desire, not because there's no love, but because starting feels weird, risky, or awkward. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. I'm Dr. Holly, a sex and relationship therapist, and if you are in a long-term relationship and initiating sex feels harder now than it did years ago, you're not alone. I'm covering this today because I see this exact pattern constantly in my therapy office. Couples who love each other, feel emotionally connected, laugh together, share a life, and yet initiation has become the biggest blocker to intimacy. One partner is terrified of hearing no, the other is terrified of making their partner feel uncomfortable. So nobody initiates, nobody moves, time passes, the stakes get higher, and when someone finally tries, it comes out sideways through jokes, sarcasm, or vague hints. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this happens, how long-term closeness actually makes initiation harder, and 7 concrete ways to initiate sex without relying on jokes, pressure, or hoping that the moment magically strikes. And I'll answer the big question that most couples ask me: how do you go from best friend mode to sexy mode when you've been together for years? Let's start with what is really going on underneath the struggle. Most couples think that they have a desire problem, but more often than not, what they actually have is an initiation anxiety problem. Here's the pattern I see over and over. Partner A wants sex, but they're scared of initiating because hearing no feels like a rejection. Even if their partner says it kindly, it hits old wounds, making them to feel undesired, unwanted, unattractive, or not enough. So they wait. Partner B also wants sex, but they're scared of initiating because they don't want to pressure their partner or to pick the wrong time. They don't want to feel like the bad guy or that they're too pushy, so they wait too. Now, nobody initiates, days turn into weeks, and the longer it's been, the bigger initiation feels. Suddenly, it's not just about sex, but it feels like a test of the relationship. And that's when lack of clarity and jokes enter the chat. Instead of saying, I want you, someone says, well, if you're bored later, or they make a sexual joke and hope that the other person picks it up and runs with it. You see, jokes feel safer. If it lands, great. If it doesn't, you can pretend that you weren't really trying. But here's the problem. Jokes are ambiguous, and ambiguity kills erotic momentum. Research on relationship communication shows that indirect bids for connection are more likely to be missed or misinterpreted than direct ones. So one partner thinks they initiated and the other partner thinks it was just a joke, and both walk away feeling confused or rejected. Now layer in something else that's very real in long-term relationships: closeness. You see, when you've been together a long time, you're deeply intertwined. You've seen each other sick, stressed, exhausted, grieving, parenting, and you maybe even have seen them go to the bathroom. You're emotionally intimate, and as therapist and researcher Esther Perel talks about, that level of closeness can make desire even harder. You see, love thrives on familiarity and safety, while desire often needs space, intention, and a shift in energy. So if you've ever thought, we're close, why is sex harder now? That's why. Now let's talk about what actually helps. I'm going to walk you through 7 ways to initiate sex in long-term relationships that reduces anxiety, lowers the stakes, and helps you to move out of joke-based initiation and into clarity and connection. And as I go through these, I want you to notice which one feels hardest for you. That's usually where the most growth is. Number 1, say the awkward part out loud. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but naming the awkwardness can actually make it easier. I often say you name it to tame it. Instead of pretending it's not there, trying saying something like, I notice I get nervous initiating because I don't want to feel rejected, or I really want to be close to you and I'm a little in my head about it, so do you mind if we just talk about it? You see, when you name what's happening, you actually take the pressure off for a moment. Neuroscience research shows that labeling emotions reduces threat activation in the brain and increases your emotional capacity for regulation. Translation, saying the awkward thing out loud actually calms your nervous system and can make you feel less awkward. Number 2, separate initiation from outcome. This is huge. You see, many couples subconsciously treat initiation as a request that must be accepted. So, if the answer is no, it feels personal. But initiation works best when it's framed as an invitation, not a demand. That means agreeing outside of the bedroom that no doesn't necessarily mean I don't want you. It just means not right now. Research on sexual consent and satisfaction shows that when people feel free to say no without consequences, they're actually more likely to say yes over time. So if you're the one afraid of hearing no, this reframe matters. A no today is not a rejection of you. Number 3, stop scheduling sex and start scheduling initiation windows instead. I know scheduling sex can feel unsexy, but here's the nuance. Instead of saying we're having sex Friday at 8 p.m., try saying Friday night is an intimacy window. That window might include cuddling, kissing, talking, showering together, or sex. Or not. This lowers the performance pressure while also still making space for erotic connection and intimacy. Studies on responsive desire, especially in long-term relationships, show that desire often emerges after arousal, not before. In other words, you don't need to feel horny to make space for intimacy. You need room for desire to show up. Number 4, use clear, simple language. Long-term couples tend to overcomplicate this. And remember, you don't need a clever line. You don't need to make it funny. You need clarity. Try, I'd really like to have sex with you tonight. Or, are you open to being intimate later? Research consistently shows that clear sexual communication is linked to higher levels of satisfaction and less misunderstanding. And direct does not mean aggressive. Direct means kind and honest. Number 5, initiate with touch, not timing. If asking verbally feels overwhelming, start with some non-goal-oriented touch. Sit closer, let your hand linger, kiss without immediately escalating. This helps to shift both partners out of their heads and into their bodies. Embodied touch activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your brain responsible for safety and pleasure. If sex starts with a question, it can often feel like negotiation, but if it starts with present, it can feel like connection. Number 6, create a shared initiation language. Some couples benefit from agreed upon signals. Maybe it's a specific phrase, maybe it's a shared emoji, or maybe it's something as simple as, do you want to play tonight? The key is that both of you agree on what it means. That way, when initiation becomes predictable and mutually understood, anxiety drops. This is especially helpful for couples where one partner worries about initiating at the wrong time. Number 7, talk about initiation outside of the bedroom. Now, this might be the most important one. Do not try to fix initiation when you're in the moment or you're attempting to have sex. Instead, talk about it when you're calm and clothed. Ask each other questions like, what makes initiation feel scary for you? What helps you to feel wanted? What shuts you down? Couples who talk about sex outside of sexual moments report higher levels of sexual satisfaction and less anxiety overall. Now, I want to pause here and ask you something, and I really want to know what you think in the comments. What is the hardest part of initiating sex for you? Is it fear of rejection, fear of pressure, or not knowing how to shift out of daily life mode? And also, if you have tips for anybody else on how you've been able to maintain initiation or little ways that you've agreed with your partner to initiate in long-term relationships, drop those in the comments below as well. Sharing your comments and reading those from others helps other people realize that they're not alone, and it really helps me know what to cover next. Now let's talk about the deeper layer underneath all of this. Initiation isn't just a skill, it's an emotional exposure. When you initiate sex, you're saying, I want you, and that's really vulnerable. And if you've been rejected in the past by a partner, a caregiver, or even culturally, your nervous system remembers. That's why this isn't just about being more confident or just doing the thing. It's about creating enough safety that vulnerability doesn't feel dangerous. And here's the payoff that I promised earlier. The couples who stop joking and start initiating clearly don't magically stop feeling awkward. They just decide that connection matters more than comfort. They accept that awkwardness is a part of long-term intimacy, and once awkwardness stops being a sign of failure, it stops running the show. Let me say that again. Awkwardness doesn't mean that something is wrong. It means that you care. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Initiation gets easier with honest communication, not when it's smooth. You don't need better timing, you don't need better jokes, you just need clarity, consent, and compassion for yourself and for your partner. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tips on sexual health and wellness. And as always, feel free to share this video with someone whom you think might benefit. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and remember, you deserve a healthy, happy, and pleasurable life.